The Fifth Agreement by Don Miguel Ruiz with Janet Mills. Chapter 8. The Fifth Agreement, Part 2. When the tyrant obeys you, when there's no longer a judge or a victim in your mind, you won't be suffering any longer. Your tyrant is ruthless. It's always abusing you by using all those symbols against you. It thrives on emotional poison generated by negative emotions, and the way it generates these emotions in you is by judging and giving opinions. Nobody judges you more than you judge yourself. Of course, you try to escape from the judgment, the guilt, the rejection, the punishment. But how can you escape from your own thoughts? If you don't like someone, you can walk away. If you don't like yourself, wherever you go, you're still there. You can hide from everybody else, but you cannot hide from your own judgment. It seems as if there is no escape. That's why so many people overeat, take drugs, abuse alcohol, and become addicted to various substances and behaviors. They try to do whatever they can to avoid their own story, to avoid their own creation that's distorting all those symbols in their head. Some people are suffering from so much emotional pain that they decide to take their own lives. That's what lies can do to any of us. The voice of knowledge can become so distorted and create so much self-hate that it kills the human. And all of this is just because we believe all those opinions that we learned over so many years. Just imagine that all your own opinions, plus all the opinions of everybody around you, are like a huge hurricane inside you. Imagine believing all those opinions. Well, if you're skeptical, if you don't believe yourself, if you don't believe anybody else, then none of these opinions can disturb you or throw you off your center. When you have control over your own symbology, you are always centered, you are always relaxed and calm, because the real you makes the choices in your life, not the symbols. When you want to communicate something, you order the symbols. That is the way they come out of your mouth. You are the artist, and you can arrange the symbols in any way you want, in any direction you want, because all those symbols are at your command. You can use the symbols to ask for what you need, to express what you want, what you don't want. You can express your thoughts, your feelings, your dreams in the most beautiful poetry or prose. But just because you use a language to communicate, it doesn't mean that you believe it. Why do you need to believe what you already know? When you are alone and talking to yourself, it's completely meaningless. What can you tell yourself that you don't already know? If you understand the Fifth Agreement, you will see the reason why you don't need to believe what you can see, what you already know without words. The truth doesn't come with words. The truth is silent. It is something that you just know. It is something that you can feel without words, and it's called silent knowledge. Silent knowledge is what you know before you invest your faith in symbols. When you open yourself to the truth and learn to listen, then all the symbols lose their value, and the only thing that remains is the truth. There's nothing to know, there's nothing to justify. What I'm sharing with you isn't easy to understand, and at the same time, it's so simple that it's obvious. In the end, you are going to realize that languages are symbols that are only true because you think they are, and if you put them aside, what remains? The truth. When you see a chair and you won't know what to call it, then you see a chair and you won't know what to call it, but you could sit on it and the truth is there. Matter is truth. Life is truth. Light is truth. Love is truth. The human dream is not truth, but not being truth doesn't mean that it's bad. Being bad is just another concept that is not true either. Once you realize that you create the whole symbology to communicate with your own kind, then you find out that the symbols are not really good or bad or right or wrong. You make them right, you make them wrong with your beliefs. That is the power of your belief, but the truth is beyond belief. When you go beyond symbols, what you find is a world of perfection where everyone and everything in creation is perfect. Even the investment of your belief in every word is perfect. Even your anger, your drama, and your lies are perfect. Even the hell that you sometimes live in is perfect because only perfection exists. Just imagine if you lived your whole life without learning all the lies in your knowledge, without suffering from investing your faith in lies, superstitions, and opinions. You would follow life like the rest of the animals, which means you would keep your innocence your entire life. In the process of domestication, you lose your innocence, but in losing your innocence, you start to search for what you have lost, and this leads you to gaining awareness. Once you recover awareness, you become completely responsible for your own evolution, for every choice you make in life. When you are educated by the dream of the planet, you have no choice. You learn so many lies. But maybe it's time to unlearn those lies and relearn how to follow the truth by following your own heart. Unlearning, or what I call undomestication, is a very slow but powerful process. As we said before, every time you take your faith away from a symbol, that power comes back to you, and it keeps coming back to you until finally the entire symbology has no power over you. When you take away the power of every symbol and bring it back to you, the whole dream is powerless. And when all that power has returned to you, you are invincible. Nothing can defeat you. Or perhaps I should say that you can no longer defeat yourself, because it's exactly the same thing. Once you recover all the power you invested in symbols, you don't believe every thought that comes into your head. You don't believe your own story. But you listen to your story, and because you respect your own story, you can enjoy it. When you go to the movies or read a novel, you don't believe it, but you can enjoy it. You can enjoy it, right? Once you can see the difference between reality and the virtual reality, you know that you can trust reality and you don't have to trust the virtual reality. But you can enjoy both. You can enjoy what is, and you can enjoy what you create. Even though you know your story isn't true, you can create the most beautiful story, and you can guide your life through that story. You can create your personal heaven and live in that heaven. And if you can understand other people's stories and they can understand yours, then together you can create the most beautiful dream. But first, you need to unlearn a lot, and the fifth agreement is another perfect tool for that. Wherever you go around the world, you will hear all kinds of opinions and stories from other people. You will find great storytellers wanting to tell you what you should do with your life. You should do this, you should do that, you should do whatever. Don't believe them. Be skeptical, but learn to listen and then make your choices. Be responsible for every choice you make in your life. This is your life. It's nobody else's life. And you will find that it's nobody else's business what you do with your life. For centuries, there have been people who claim to know the will of God and who go around the world preaching goodness and righteousness and condemning everybody. For centuries, there have been prophets who predicted big catastrophes in the world. Not that long ago, there were people who predicted that in the year 2000, all the computers would fail and society as we know it would disappear. Some people thought that we would return to the time of the caveman. The day arrived. We celebrated the new century, the new year, and what happened? Nothing happened. Thousands of years ago, just like today, there were prophets who were waiting for the end of the world. At that time, a great master said, "There will be many false prophets who claim to be speaking the word of God. Don't believe." You see, the fifth agreement is not really new. Be skeptical, but learn to listen.